feeling good to start it, guys, huh? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you think, Facebook? Sound good?
If I pull up a file, can I share it on here?
Sure.
Okay, I see a share screen on there.
Yeah.
So, okay, I might do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
All
Can
right.
make it an audible. You decide.
Okay.
Your choice. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. Join strength and conditioning expert Roberto Parker as he shares his over 35 years of experience in training athletes and helping people achieve their fitness goals. Now here's your moderator, Chris Whiting, with Coach Roberto.
Hey, welcome everybody. Once again, another exciting edition of the Health Detective Podcast. I am Chris Whiting, your moderator for this program. But with me, as always, is the man of the hour, or the man of the roughly 40 minutes we're going to spend together. Here he is, Coach Roberto. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I am red hot and ready to go.
Yes, you are. Fit as a fiddle and ready for loving. That's what I like to say about you. So tonight, we're going to talk about hormone replacement. And I was going to say I know a little bit. I know this much, that your hormones change over time. And so making adjustments so that you feel better to regulate those hormones is kind of a big deal. So do you want to start out with just general, what are hormones? How do you make a hormone? Or do you want to get right into the replacement?
There's a joke about that, Chris, but it's probably not applicable to this podcast here. What is a hormone? Hormones. Hormones are messengers. They are messengers signaling to us what's going on with our bodies and outside of our bodies, and how our bodies are receiving things from the environment that we live in. Those are basically what hormones are. They are messengers.
And they travel throughout your body with these messages? Is that how it works?
Well, they signal certain receptor sites within the body.
Ah.
Okay, so testosterone, estrogen, those are all considered sex hormones.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have an effect on your brain. They have an effect with your energy levels, with your thyroid, your memory. So they're more than just, sexual performance. And estrogen obviously helps women with, and progesterone also helps women with childbirth and those sort of things. So they are messengers. They send signals to different tissues of the body.
Fascinating.
In fact, when you build muscles make things called myokines. Myokines are like muscle type of hormones. And when you develop myokines, those myokines signal everything in your body, because everything in the body is one big network. You can't piecemeal it. You can't just say, well, the knees act separately from the shoulders, because if your shoulder's out of balance, let's say, it can affect your arm swing. If your arm swing's out of balance, it can affect your hips. If your hips are out of balance, it can affect your knee. So all those things having to work together.
So the hormones help regulate that. And you mentioned some I've heard of: testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, the
myokines. Technically, they're not really hormones, but in reality, they are, because as you develop more lean body tissue via building muscle tone, your body develops myokines. Myokines also work with hormones in the body. They help strengthen the signal, you might say. So, all those things are having to work together. That's why it's good to exercise, because and build good muscle tone, because that will help the hormonal messenger system within your body.
Okay, fascinating. I'm going to give out our number here, Roberto. Just talking about interesting stuff here, and I have a feeling some folks may have questions or comments. You can reach us here on the Health Detective Podcast at 913-735-0060. That's 913-735-0060. We're talking about hormones and hormone replacement tonight. So when you're young, your hormones just tend to be in balance, typically, I'm assuming.
I wouldn't say you're born with an imbalance. I mean, as you age, they're going to change because kids start turning into young kids and young teenagers and young adults. In fact, hormones are probably better balanced when you're younger.
Right.
Because like I said, when you're younger, it all comes back to, which is kind of the foundation of our topic tonight, cortisol and insulin. You've heard me talk a lot about cortisol in the past.
Yes.
When insulin levels are thrown out of balance, it affects practically every hormonal system aspect in your body. So it's important that you get the insulin levels correct. You want to be insulin sensitive as much as you can. When you are younger, you have better insulin sensitivity. As you age, over the age probably of 35 to 40, you become a little bit less insulin sensitive and have a tendency to become more insulin resistant. And that will affect muscle density. That will affect cortisol levels. That will affect gonads, ovaries. Gonads, ovaries also manufacture what? Gonads manufacture testosterone.
Okay.
Ovaries manufacture
Estrogen
and progesterone.
Aha. Yes.
Okay, so there's a network here I want to talk a little bit about. It's called your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, thyroidal axis. Okay, so it's your hypothalamus within your okay, it's your hypothalamus within your brain.
Gotcha.
It's your pituitary gland within the brain. It also makes growth hormones, right? You've probably heard of that.
Yep.
Okay, that communicates with adrenals. Adrenals help the production of ovaries and gonads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from there, that communicates with your thyroid. Your thyroid is the master regulator of your metabolism. When your metabolism is out of balance, it throws the complete endocrine system out of whack. And a big part of the hormonal system is your endocrine system. Okay.
And is the thyroid at the base of your neck?
Yes, it's shaped like a little butterfly down there. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. And so when the thyroid is stable, typically everything else is going to be stable. So let me just say this about hormone replacement therapy up front. I only recommend it as a last resort. Try to do things the natural way as much as you can. You want to get your insulin levels in check. You want to get your adrenaline, cortisol levels in check. That is the most important thing to do, because when those get out of balance, that flows upstream now to throw the kilter off of how your body is receiving estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
So if that's the base there, the insulin, the cortisol, I know we've talked about these at length a little bit. Maybe just a quick reminder of things people can do to keep those levels where they should be.
Stress. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and that is the biggest cause of your hormones getting out of balance. There's something that's stressing you out physically, emotionally, mentally, okay, chemically. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's crappy eating, with most Americans. That's a big part of it. Not getting enough sleep, not getting enough exercise, sometimes getting too much exercise where you're straining your body too much. We talked about this in the last podcast.
Sure did.
If you're going 100 miles an hour all the time, and that includes getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do your workouts, but you're only sleeping 4 or 5 hours, you're taking one step forward and maybe 2 steps backwards, because you're stressing the heck out of your body. So that keeps your cortisol levels high. And what that does, that places a strain on how your body is now receiving, once again, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
It all comes back.
It all comes back. Now, here's the thing about, let's talk about ladies for a second here.
Oh, yeah.
As you start to age, ladies, you start getting near the time of menopause. It's called perimenopause. You're not having your periods as much. Your cycles are becoming more erratic. Typically, what is happening is that you're starting to lose estrogen. Estrogen in the proper balance is good because estrogen is like testosterone light for the ladies, because when estrogen levels are stable as they should be, that can help ladies with muscle tone and muscularity and keeping the body fat down. But once again, estrogen's got to be at the right levels. If it's too high, it'll throw you off. If it's too low, it'll throw you off. There's a very delicate balance there. Okay, so let me finish this. No, so as you start to age, estrogen and progesterone starts to drop. Estrogen and progesterone have to work together in sync for you to have the right levels of hormonal balance. But the problem is this: typically with most females, as they age, progesterone drops significantly more than estrogen. Estrogen still drops, but the problem is it doesn't drop as much. And so now you have a ratio that is way out of balance. Now you become estrogen dominant. That causes problems with breast cancer, fibroids, possibly even some heart conditions and uterine cancer. So that's the problem. When estrogen becomes so dominant in the body and progesterone levels are just down in the basement, that causes a significant imbalance with the ladies.
Fascinating. Okay. Can the opposite happen? Can their progesterone be real high and estrogen get low, or does it not typically?
That is very rare, if any. I've never heard of that happening, but I'm not saying it's not possible.
Gotcha. But when that ratio goes south and you've got way more estrogen than progesterone, then you're setting yourself up to potentially have a slew of health issues. Gotcha.
And so what happens is that, as you age, because once again, as you age, insulin sensitivity drops. Estrogen, progesterone levels drop. So there's a correlation there. So how can you keep the estrogen and progesterone at more stable levels? Yes.
Keep your insulin up?
Keep your insulin not too high, but keep it sensitive to where your body is now insulin sensitive. You don't want to be too high in insulin either, because if your body's too high in insulin, that can lead to insulin resistance. So you want to keep insulin levels sensitive, which will help keep estrogen and progesterone levels at a healthier, stable level.
Okay.
So there is your hormone replacement right there, ladies. If you get the baseline right first, it takes a little bit of work with your lifestyle. There's that word again, lifestyle.
Oh boy.
In terms of your sleep, in terms of your eating, in terms of your exercise, in terms of how you manage all those things, you more than likely will not have to get hormone replacement therapy. Now, if you're beating the crap out of your body, not enough sleep, not enough exercise, too much exercise, eating crappy foods, you become more insulin resistant. Estrogen, progesterone levels now start to drop precipitously. That's going to cause issues in terms of being estrogen dominant.
Now, in your opinion, and I will say, you're not a medical doctor, and obviously
I'm not.
Anybody who was considering hormone replacement would certainly need to go to a medical doctor. So I'm just getting your opinion here. But if someone's out of whack, their insulin sensitivity is off, and so they're out of balance, is it too late at that point, or can they go ahead, start those lifestyle changes and potentially see things reverse?
They can certainly start it. Now, it's never too late to start. Never too late. Now, if a woman wants to seek, or a man for that matter, wants to get some hormone replacement, I would still implement these lifestyle changes, because now you wouldn't have to do probably as much of a replacement. You wouldn't have to get treated as much for your hormone replacement. So now you can reduce the level of hormone replacement that you might need. I recommend hormone replacement, like I said, as a last resort. If nothing else is working, use all the things we just talked about, and is not working, then certainly go to a medical doctor, go through some consultation sessions, look at the pros, look at the cons, because even with hormone replacement, there is a risk of potential heart disease and getting cancer.
Oh my. Yeah. Yeah. It's so my mom, 20 years ago, or God, probably closer to 30, started going through the change. And then the doctor put her on some kind of hormone replacement therapy that was popular back then. Well, then come to find out, they had to pull her and a bunch of other women off of whatever this schedule was, because it ended up, the risks outweighed the potential benefits from this.
Right.
So, and I'm sure we've come a long way in 30 years, but still that rings true to me. I do want to throw out the telephone number again, 913-735-0060, 913-735-0060. Anybody that would like to call in has questions on hormone replacement, hormone regulation, natural ways to go about that. We're talking about all of that. And tell me if I'm wrong here, Roberto, but when you were talking about women making lifestyle changes that can help bring the balance back, does that go right back to one of the first things we ever talked about, which is checking your schmeck?
Yeah, I have that written down here in my notes. As a matter of fact, that's sleep, mood,
Wow.
energy, cravings, and hunger. That is a somewhat informal way, inexpensive way. If you don't want to go through a whole, vast litany of testing and lab work and everything else with me, that's a good way to do it. Are you sleeping qualitatively? Is your mood stable? Is your energy level stable? Are you having food cravings? Do you have a good, healthy appetite? Okay.
Yes.
If any of those things are out of whack, there's something out of whack. There's something going on with you internally, possibly even externally, that's causing these to happen. Everything goes in your body as a result of stress. Something is stressing you out. Inflammation is caused by stress. Upset stomach is caused by stress. The coronavirus is really caused by stress. I don't want to get into that real deeply, but everything that you receive in your body that's some sort of disease or injury is some sort of stress. You fall on your knee on concrete, the ground causes damage to your knee. That's stressful. That causes inflammation. So everything is stress related. Now, it's how you manage that stress throughout your life that will determine how you come out with your health. And the reason I say, all of us have heard this before, pay me now or pay me later. You can work on the little things now, and later on in life, you won't have to worry about hormone replacement. You don't have to worry about liposuction. You don't have to worry about hip replacement, knee replacement, elbow replacement. You don't have to worry about those things. If you don't take care of those things, the small little things during your younger years leading up to your older years, chances are you're going to have to pay a lot of money to a specialist to have all these things done.
Yeah, those chickens always come home to roost. I think
right.
I've heard you say before. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing I want to mention, getting back to healthy amounts of sex hormones, being your testosterone, your progesterone, and estrogen. If you're not making enough cholesterol, if you're not putting enough cholesterol in your body. Now, some people think, whoa, wait a minute, cholesterol is bad. No, it is not bad. Triglycerides are bad if they get to a certain level. You have to have certain amounts of fats in your diet eating plan in order to make hormones. Hormones are made from cholesterol. You have cholesterol. You have the stuff called pregnenolone, which is another type of hormone. Pregnenolone makes DHEA, You've probably heard of DHEA.
I have heard of that.
They even sell pregnenolone too, as a matter of fact. DHEA now makes testosterone and it makes estrogen. And there's 3 types of estrogen. There's estradiol, which is premenstrual. There's estriol, which is more for the women that are pregnant. And there's estrone, which women make as they start entering postmenopause. So when women are in premenopause, they make considerable amounts of estrogen. When they get into, or estradiol, I should say, when they get into postmenopause, now they're making estrone. Estrone is not quite as strong as estradiol in terms of giving you the womanly figures and all that kind of thing. But as a woman starts to enter her post-menstrual years, it's even more important to do weight-bearing exercises because estrone is more direct byproduct of testosterone.
It even sounds more like it.
Exactly. So that is why it's important for ladies to get more into weight-bearing exercises because that's going to help them. Now, men on the other side, let's talk about the men for a second.
Yeah, well, let's get our time.
Okay. All right. Men start to enter what we call andropause. That means that they're starting to lose testosterone, which affects muscle density, which affects even, it can affect your thyroid. It can affect your emotional state. It can affect your thinking, and certainly will affect your sex life. Now, as men start to lose testosterone, yes, it's starting to fade away there. Yes, starting to wimp. Okay, so when men start to enter into this phase of their life, guess what the predominant hormone becomes for men? It's called estrogen.
I knew we had estrogen. So
yes, we do.
Testosterone goes down, estrogen goes up, kind of thing.
Yes, quite the opposite for women. Estrogen goes down, testosterone levels start to go up. In fact, if you look at older men and older women, when men start to become really into their senior elderly years, they start to look more like women.
Yeah.
Okay. Women start to look more like men. If you notice, women start to lose their hair as they get much older.
So interesting.
Yes.
We come into this world with the babies looking pretty much alike, and then we leave the world headed right back in that direction.
Yes. Now, once again, you can slow those processes down. I don't know if you can really stop them, but you can slow those processes down by weight-bearing exercise, ladies and gentlemen. That's important. You got to get the muscles stronger. You got to get lean body tissue. You can't eat the same way at age 60 as you did at age 15. It's not going to work. You can't have your Cheerios every morning, your Rice Krispies or your Wheaties or whatever. You've got to cut that kind of crap out. You've got to start taking in more organic, healthy fats. Healthy fats manufacture good hormones. Not to mention, healthy fats also help nerve transmission.
Healthy fats like avocados.
Yes.
Olive oil, that type of stuff.
Olive oils. Fatty fish. Okay. So if you don't want to eat a lot of beef, eat more fish. Okay. So those types of things.
And did you say fillet of fish or fatty fish?
Fatty fish.
Fatty. Okay. Darn.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, some of the best type of fatty fish you can eat, and it's probably going to gross some people out, are sardines.
Oh, I love sardines. But
I know a lot of people hate them, but sardines are probably one of the best fatty fish you can eat.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Put one on a cracker. That's good eating right there. I prefer the mustard sauce myself. Wow. So if you lift the weights and stuff, like going back to men, can that help you maintain a higher testosterone level? It
can. It certainly, things are still going to start to decline in you, but you can slow the process down. Testosterone to me is more of a bottom feeder compared to growth hormone. Growth hormone is more upstream. It's more at the top of the hierarchy of things you should be concerned about, because Growth hormone is made while you sleep at night. Okay, because your pituitary gland in your brain makes growth hormone. That's why it's important to get plenty of sleep. Growth hormone is called the hormone of youth. Testosterone will help you, but it's not as effective as growth hormone. So I'm more concerned about growth hormone really than I am testosterone.
And so
both are very, don't get me wrong, both are important. Both are important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm assuming then a few years ago, I would see these ads in airline magazines where they'd have an old dude, you know, some guy that's 70 years old. And then 6 months later, there's a picture of him. He's still got an old face, but his body's all ripped and stuff. And he was going to some clinic to get injections. So I'm assuming that would be human growth hormone type stuff.
Probably. I don't recommend that.
Okay.
I would be that is very similar to hormone replacement therapy. Okay, because you're putting growth hormone into your body. Even having said that, and this applies to men and women, if you get hormone therapy in any way, any fashion, any manner, if you're still insulin resistant, if you're still insulin dominant, you're going to screw things up, and you can actually cause cancer. You can cause heart conditions, because that is not how the body is meant to be. When things get out of balance, too much insulin, not enough insulin, too much testosterone, not enough testosterone, too much progesterone, too much estrogen, not enough of progesterone, estrogen, things will become out of balance.
Yeah.
That causes the potentiality of diseases, symptoms, malfunctions, disorders. That's not how our bodies are. Our bodies are designed to be balanced on that scale. We don't want to tip one way or the other. Okay. We don't want to do that. Okay. So more is not always good. You don't want to do that. It's just like, it's like working out. You might say, okay, for Chris Whiting, 3 days a week is cool. That fourth day is just enough to throw you off balance to where now you have a negative return on that investment that you're on that fourth day. And the same thing applies biochemically within our bodies. Now, well, you might be asking, what, Roberto, how do I know I'm out of balance? You get back to that SMEC. Okay. But beyond that, how do you really know? You got to get tested. You got to do some blood tests, some urine tests, some saliva tests, see what your cortisol levels are, to see if there's any sort of dysbiosis going on within your gut in terms of bad bacteria. We got to check out your triglyceride levels, because getting back to cholesterol, the thing that I look at, if a person has really high cholesterol, let's say you have a cholesterol of 300, 300 by doctor standards, okay, we got to get you on some statin drugs.
Right.
But what if your triglycerides are only 50?
I don't know.
Triglycerides are really, that is the key as to whether you have the potential to have heart disease. Now, if you have a cholesterol level of 300 and your triglycerides are 300, yeah, you better make some changes. Or vice versa. Let's say your cholesterol is 120, but your triglycerides are over 100. This is on a lab report. This is how you determine your lipids here. If your triglycerides are over 100, that means that your fat burning furnace is running out of steam, and that you're not going to lose any body fat. And chances are you're insulin resistant. I can look at a person's lab and I can just tell almost boom, like that. If tris are high, your chances are you're insulin dominant. You got something going on.
Interesting. And people may be listening, you know, we mentioned earlier, you're not a medical doctor, but if somebody comes to you for consultation, you can order the test. Like if they're hearing, my God, I don't know how to get all this checked out, you can help them with all that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The difference between what a holistic practitioner like myself does versus a doctor, medical doctor, Western medical doctors, their practice is based in pathology. Okay. Pathology is more centered around disease-based, looking at the symptoms. Let's kind of clamp down on the symptoms so you start feeling better. I practice, along with other practitioners, more physiology. We look at how the body functions from a functional perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how we make changes. I would never, ever, ever tell somebody to get off medication, because I don't
Yeah.
want to get my ass sued for one thing. Okay. I would
Well,
never
and I'm
do that.
sure you care about people too. But yeah.
Exactly. I would never tell you to get off medication. But let's get to the point where we get the body functioning better in terms of your adrenals, in terms of your lungs, in terms of your liver, in terms of your gut, and just maybe you can reduce the medication. And just maybe eventually you can get off the medication with the recommendation advice from your medical doctor.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. And if people are listening and they want to go down that journey and they want to start being proactive with their health, and maybe pay a little bit now so they don't pay a whole lot later, how do they get in touch with you, Roberto?
Well, you can contact me via email, rwpsports@yahoo.com. Phone number is 816-405-7703. Now, what I will do is this. If a person wants me to help them, we start out with a lifestyle assessment first and foremost. I ask you a lot of questions. I ask you how many times a day are you pooping? Are you plant-based? Are you animal-based in your food habits? Are you a combination of both? How many hours of quality sleep do you get every night? How much protein do you think you're consuming? How many carbs? How much fat? So I try to rate everything from 0 to 10 on a qualitative level. What are your favorite exercises? What are your least favorite exercises? What time of day do you like working out? What time of day do you not like working out? How active are you? Are you working? Are you walking every day? Are you not walking every day? How many steps a day do you think you're taking? So all of these things are important to do, because I want to get a baseline as to where you are, not just physically, but even motivationally. Because
Mm-hmm.
some people, let's be honest, are less than motivated. And so, first of all, if you have zero motivation, I'm probably not the guy you want to work with in the first place. Okay. But I'll meet you halfway at least. You got to come to me and say, look, I'm willing to make some subtle changes, and let's build that bridge piece by piece. Let's build that foundation brick by brick, and let's go from there. And we can do some lab work. We can do some assessment work. We can do some urine, some saliva. All of these things. Now, these things are, I'll be honest with you, some of them are not cheap. But if you want to really find out what's going on with you, that's what it's going to take. And what I do, I interpret all those results, and I have my own norm schedule, you might say. Now, when you go to the doctor, they give you a lab report that has, okay, your cholesterol should be between 150 and 180, let's say, within a range. I have my own set of ranges based upon what I call functional medicine. What the doctor gives you is based on non-functional. It's based on a set of norms of people that are sick, but not too sick. They're the best. They're the best of the worst and the worst of the best. They're not really based upon people that are in a very healthy bracket. You want to be, I want to be, I don't know about anybody else, I want to be compared to that healthy bracket. I don't want to be compared to a semi-healthy, unhealthy bracket. And so that's the difference between the results that I work with and the results that you'll get from a medical doctor.
Yeah. And then once you've set that baseline, you know where they are, then you start developing the plan and helping them work it, right? As far as what to eat, how often to exercise, how to be active, all of that.
Absolutely. And that's where you got to meet me halfway. You've got to be willing to make some subtle changes. Now, how to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we take a step by step. Now, some people are highly motivated. Some people say, hey, man, I'm ready to take off running right now. That's fine too. Most people probably aren't like that. I'll admit that. But if you want to make some serious changes, you've got to make up your mind that, okay, I want to know where I am. Let's set some goals, and let's start working our way towards the target, towards accomplishing those goals.
Yeah, and I will say that as a person that's not entirely intrinsically motivated, you're great for me. You push me harder than I would ever push myself, and I need that. I know that about myself. So it helps. So even people that think, I don't know, man, this could be scary. I'm a wuss, and it works great for me. So
Well, yeah, people are, like I said, look, human beings are inherently lazy. Okay. I mean, we don't like doing things that are uncomfortable in life. Let's be honest.
right.
And I have a little bit of a saying, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
That'd be a good bumper sticker. I like that. Yeah.
So that's easier said than done. I realize it, but that's really what it comes down to. You got to get a little bit uncomfortable, and maybe in small little steps.
Yeah.
You just can't jump in head first. You got to dip your toe in the water a little bit, and then your foot, and then your ankle, and then your knee, so you got to do it that way.
And it helps to have somebody like you who absolutely knows what they're doing to help you, get to that point and achieve your best. And Roberto, we are up at time. It's been a fascinating discussion today on hormones and hormone replacement, but give your number and contact info one more time for folks that are interested in working with you.
816-405-7703. Email is rwpsports@yahoo.com. We can also do things virtually, which a lot of people are doing today.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you live in New York City or London, England, we can work virtually via the internet. So we can work that way as well.
Awesome. Very good. Well, hey, thanks once again for sharing your knowledge with the rest of us. Folks, thanks for tuning into the Health Detective Podcast. We will be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. Be sure to check out all the episodes and the wonderful programming offered here on KCTK Radio.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. You can contact Roberto at 816-405-7703 or by email at rwpsports@yahoo.com with any comment or question you may have. Join us next time for the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. The Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker has been a KCTK production, produced by Roberto Parker, Chris Whiting, and Paul Lavoda. All rights reserved. For more information and content, email us at kctkradio@gmail.com.
All right. You there?